Hello YouTube fam, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. I'm super excited for today's video because they're all projects that are inspired by things that you do in the summertime or the warm months. I'm a summer baby, so summer is definitely my favorite season out of the year. I'm also super excited to say that I'm partnering with Cricut on this video. This is totally a full circle moment for me because last year I was making DIY wedding videos using my Cricut, and Brian actually got me a Cricut for Christmas one year because he knew that I was going to be making a bunch of different projects. If you had told me that I'd be working with Cricut a year later, I seriously would not believe you. So this partnership is seriously a dream come true. So I absolutely love my Cricut, and I know that you guys love Cricut as well. So I'm really excited to share with you guys some project ideas using my Cricut Joy. You can seriously make projects in 15 minutes or less, and I found the setup to be super easy, and it connects via Bluetooth, which is also really awesome for on-the-go crafting. And even if you don't have a Cricut, you can definitely do all these projects without one, so I'm really excited to jump into it. And before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and let's go ahead and get started. Hello from VoiceOver Tina. So we're jumping right on into our first project, and I wanted to add some personality to my little herb garden this season. So I have these little pots as well as these trays, and I'm going to give them a light sanding. Then with my terracotta spray paint, I'm going to give these 2 coats of color, and I always rave about the spray paint because it's a great option for the perfect terracotta look and texture. I am almost out of this bottle, so I definitely need to grab another can soon. And then for the trays, I'm just going to spray paint them white to tie in with our pot design. So while those are drying, I'm going to work on my little labels in the Cricut design space. I'm going to go ahead and add some text and then scroll through all their different font options. Cricut actually has a library filled with thousands of fonts and images that you guys can use, but you can also upload your own image and use fonts that you already have downloaded on your computer. I chose to use this typewriter font because I thought it was super cute, and I'm just going to go ahead and type all of my herb names out. Then I'm sizing it to 2.5 inches to ensure that it would fit on my pot. Then I'm going to hit the Make It button to get to cutting. So I made sure to select the correct material, and I'm using a permanent vinyl for this project. From there, I loaded in my smart vinyl right into the Cricut Joy, and it started its magic. After that's all done, I like to cut my vinyl into small pieces so that it's easier to work with, and we're going to go ahead and start weeding. So as you can see, I'm removing the negative spaces with my weeding tool, and this is honestly my favorite part about working with vinyl because it's super satisfying. There's just something so therapeutic about peeling any type of adhesive, kind of like removing the clear plastic from a new phone. I just love that feeling. After everything was weeded, I just went ahead and put our transfer tape right on top and burnishing it to ensure that it sticks to the transfer tape. I know I'm kind of showing you guys a crash course in working with vinyl, but if you guys want a more in-depth tutorial, please check out a video I did previously. I'll have it linked down below in my description box. So now it's time to apply our new labels onto our beautiful pots, so I'm just going to go ahead and center those at the top and burnish it on. And all we have to do now is to remove the transfer tape, and it's ready to go. To take these a step further, I also went in with a paint marker, and I just started drawing the leaves of each herb. I thought this would be a cute little touch, and I'm just using a reference photo for each one of these and doing a simple line drawing, so it definitely doesn't have to be anything fancy. After everything's dried, I made sure to add on a top coat to seal in our design, and then I got to sowing our seeds. This is actually my first time growing herbs from seeds, so please wish me luck. I will be doing an update on these on my balcony makeover, so hopefully we will see some growth by then. Our pots are done, and now it's time to watch these babies grow. This is such a fun project for the spring and summer season, but of course you can grow herbs indoors for any season, so I'm excited to use these pots year round. It's going to be so much fun just to watch these herbs grow, and I'm really excited to eventually use them to cook a meal in the future. For our next project, I'm using a canvas tote bag, and I made sure to pre-wash it before we start our dyeing process. I wanted to try an ombre tie-dye look, so I'm just going to scrunch up the bag vertically, and then I added in rubber bands, sectioning it into thirds. And for my dye, I'm using a liquid RIT dye in the color chocolate brown, and I'm just following the directions on the packaging to get the best results. So I poured in some hot water into a bowl, then I added in a little bit of soap, and since I'm using cotton, I added in salt to our mixture. From there, I'm pouring the dye right in, and there really is no exact science to this. It just depends on how concentrated you want your dye to be. This mixture looks super dark, but rest assured it actually turns into a nice warm brown color, so I was super happy with the color. So now I'm basically going to dip dye our bag. So I'm first dipping in the bottom third, and then I'm going to slowly add in one section at a time until the entire bag has dye on it. From there, I'm dipping in the bottom third, and I'm gonna let that sit in our dye for about 15 minutes. After that, I put in the bottom 2/3 for about 10 minutes to soak, and by doing this, we're able to create a gradient effect from darkest to lightest on the tote as the different sections sit in our dye mixture longer and longer. Alright, so it's looking pretty good, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash it all out with some cold water. So I removed the rubber bands to reveal our pattern, and I must say I'm really happy with the color and the overall ombre effect. It's a little more subtle and a bit different than your typical tie-dye, and I'm really into this look. Then I just let that dry overnight, and while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and work on our tote bag design. I'm going for a plant theme, so I'm drawing some of my favorite plant leaves with Procreate on my iPad. So here you guys see me drawing one of my favorite plants, the Monstera. And then I'm going to import my images into the Cricut design space, and it takes you through a couple of steps to ensure that your image is going to be perfect for cutting. So on my canvas, I have a mix of my own leaf drawings with a couple of the ones available in the library. So I'm just rearranging everything around until I'm happy with the placement. And I also added on the words Houseplant Club at the bottom because I think it is super cute. Now it's time to get to cutting, and I'm just using a smart iron-on vinyl, so I'm going to make sure that the design is mirrored and ready to go. Once that's all cut out, I'm going to go ahead and arrange it into smaller pieces so that I can arrange it later. And now for my favorite part, I'm weeding everything, and when working with iron-on vinyl, you want to be extra careful with this step because the material is a little bit stretchier. So I'm going to flip that over, and you'll see that our design is now right side up, and this is how you're going to place it onto the bag. I made sure to place my easy press mat inside my tote, and then I went ahead and just arranged all of the designs out as I had planned it on Design Space. This is looking pretty good now, so I'm using my Cricut Easy Press Mini to apply the iron-ons, and this is just the cutest little iron. It has 3 different heat settings, and it's also really great for smaller projects that aren't flat like hats and shoes, so this is a super handy tool to have in your kit as well. And as you can see, I'm working from the center, and I'm just going to move outwards to ensure that my bag is all balanced. I was super excited to see my little drawings come to life in this design, and that's something that I definitely wanted to showcase with the Cricut. You guys are not limited to using just fonts or images in their library. You can totally upload your own images for projects and make something super custom. And if you guys like my design, I will have it linked down below so that you can access it and make your own creations with it too. And as always, be sure to check out my description box. I always list my materials and supplies, so that will all be listed down below for each one of these projects. Before removing the shiny cover, I let my iron-on cool all the way, and then I just removed it at a 45-degree angle. And that's all there is to this project. Our bag is now complete. Working with dyes and tie-dye always reminds me of the summer, and if I had a backyard, I would totally be tie-dyeing outside. This is the perfect project to do outdoors and create something super cute and personalized. I really love how this came out, and I'm super obsessed with the design that I created. I cannot wait to use this bag to do some of my favorite activities like going to craft fairs and weekend markets. I'm just so obsessed with how this came out, and I hope you guys love it too. This last DIY is perfect to add some style to your summer trips. So to start, I typed out my initials and I'm using a bold font for this to make it stand out more. Then I'm going to duplicate that and then I'm changing the color so that I could see it better, and now we're going to move it off to the side a little to create a drop shadow effect. Then I went ahead and selected both of these layers and then I clicked on the slice button, and this is going to separate all the intersecting edges into different layers. So now you can see that there are 3 layers and you're just going to toggle the layers until we find the one that we don't want to cut, and we're basically just going to turn that one off. So the design is looking pretty good, and all I'm doing now is to create these tiny little squares and I'm going to put them on both sides of the new design. And doing this is a little hack that you can use when you're working with multiple layers of colors and vinyl, and I found this to be super helpful. For this next step, I just want to cut the top layer, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the bottom layer, and then I'm selecting the squares as well as the top layer and making sure that I attach them together. And with that, I'm just going to cut it normally with some white vinyl. After that, we basically just want to repeat these same steps with our bottom layer, which is going to be our drop shadow layer. So we're selecting our squares as well as the drop shadow layer, and I'm going to cut this out in a gold color. You can really use whatever color combo you'd like with this design. So now that we have both pieces, we're just going to weed them as normal, and luckily my initials are super simple, so I only had to use my hands to remove the extra vinyl. I'm really excited for this DIY because I'm actually going on a trip to Napa Valley the weekend that this video comes out, so this project is one that I can actually use really soon, and it could not have come at a better time for my weekend vacay. Now with my transfer tape, I'm just burnishing on the top white layer as normal. And once we have that on there, what we want to do is to match the squares up on each layer with both sides, and these are going to line up perfectly. This is such a genius hack when working with multi-layered images or colors, and this was actually my first time trying it out, and I think it went pretty smoothly. After both layers are on there, we're just going to go ahead and burnish that and then just remove the transfer tape as normal. And I'm going to stick this right onto my suitcase, and this idea is actually inspired by something that Away offers on their site. You can add a monogram for an additional $50, so I'm really happy that I was able to create my own version for way less. And of course, this project would not be complete without a luggage tag. I'm using this really cute cheetah print one that I actually found at the Target dollar spot. And for my design, I'm using the same exact one but with no drop shadow, and I'm just going to add that right onto the luggage tag with some permanent vinyl. Now we can add that to our suitcase, and that's all there is to this project. I really love how this came out, and I think it looks just as good, if not better, than the Away version. And what's great is that you can choose any fonts and colors that you want your design to be. This makes the perfect monogram pair, and I just love how much personality it added to my plain suitcase, and I absolutely cannot wait to use it. So those were all the projects from today's video. I hope that you guys liked them, and let me know which one was your favorite in the comments down below. I definitely would have to say that the tote bag is my favorite because I love tie-dyeing, and this is definitely a more sophisticated, more adult version, so I really love how that project came out. And if you guys have any DIY or project suggestions that you love to do in the summertime, let me know down below because I would love to try them out as well. And of course, I have to give a huge thank you to Cricut for sponsoring today's video. If you guys are interested in checking out any of their machines, make sure that you click on my link down below. I would also recommend that you guys sign up for their email list because they're always running different promotions, and honestly, as a DIYer, I feel like everyone needs a Cricut because there's so many different things that you can do with it. If you recreate any of the projects from today's video, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. I also post on there every single day. And that is it for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!